Hi, and welcome to the Word of the Week. The Word of the Week for this week is time. Now, time is one of the resources that everyone on the face of the earth has equal access to, from the rich and powerful to the common and lowly. We all have the same amount of time. We have 24 hours in a day. That's it. No more, no less. So what separates the great from the not so great oftentimes is how the time is spent. How it's spent, where it's spent. Recently I was listening to an audio teaching with Brian Tracy. Brian is a world-renowned authority on leadership and success skills. And Brian was talking about the concept of time management, which intrigued me because I've always thought I was a really bad time manager. And one of the things that he said that really struck me and really opened my eyes was that most people feel frustrated because they feel that they are so busy that there's never enough time to do everything that needs to be done. And his statement to that was, you're right. There never is and never will be enough time for you to do everything that you want and need to do in any given day. So you just have to accept it, and you have to prioritize what is the most important thing for you to do today in order to get you to where you need to be. See, the problem is most of us spend our time doing tasks that are not getting us to where we want to be. They're just things that we do to fill up our time. And trust me, there are plenty of things you can do to fill up your time. So if you have a specific goal in mind, particularly in terms of your training to be a successful martial artist or a successful athlete or successful musician or whatever it is, you need to prioritize. You need to figure out, what do I want and what are the steps that are going to get me there? And those need to be the focus of your time. You need to make those your priorities. Another interesting lesson I learned from a musician, his name is Bobby Shew. And Bobby talked about the misconception that most of us have in terms of practice. Now you ask a professional or working musician how often they practice, how much they practice, and you often hear people say proudly, well, I practice 3-4 hours a day, I practice 5 hours a day, I practice 6 hours a day. Well, if you really look at it, most of that time is really not productive. See, you can practice for 3 or 4 hours and sit in a practice room, but out of that time, how much of it is actually dedicated practice, meaning that you're 100% focused, laser focused on what you're doing? Probably not that much time. So what Bobby suggested is that you practice in smaller chunks, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Whenever you start to feel your attention is wavering, stop. Go do something else. Have a cup of coffee, read the newspaper for a few minutes. Come back, start up again. Only practicing as long as you can maintain that 100% clarity. Now you do that multiple times during the day, so you're still getting several hours of practice in, but it's pure practice time. So I would like you to consider doing that, because I think that if you attempt to do this, if you really stay focused on the task at hand, you're going to see that it takes less of your time to accomplish the same amount of goals because you're 100% into it. So use your time wisely, because once you spend it, you can't get it back. So make it worth every moment. And speaking of time, we're out of time for this week. So I hope to see you next week.